Welcome to Determined to Succeed. I'm your host, Dawn, also known as Unique Connector. So I'm so excited to have Deb on the show today. Deb came to an event of mine a while back, and we just had this instant connection. And she even gave me a book to go home with, which I thought was very thoughtful. So, and look at you got it right there too. Perfect. So, Deb, you kind of have a unique journey path and have taken some major pivots over the years. And so let's kind of just talk about that. You made a big pivot and left corporate America, and now you're totally switching gears. So talk to me about what inspired you to make this huge leap.
As so many things in life, it wasn't one single thing or event or mindset other than I think with aging, and I'm a proud 63-year-old, halfway to 64, that one day as I was doing the routine, get up, wash my face, go to the office, that sort of thing, commute, that there is, of course, more to life, and nothing against where I was working, a lovely CPA firm filled with treasured people who are dear friends to this day, but it wasn't anything unique that I was doing there. I had dusted off some highly acclaimed executive admin skills and was rocking it, but that's not my passion in life. And at 61, I thought, as far as beginning, middle, and end, I'm in the end phase, and I plan on being here for a good long time and milking every drop out of it. But you get to a point, and I'm thrilled that so many people aren't waiting until they get to my age to have the wake up call, the epiphany that life is precious, no guarantees, and it's really about making the most of it, which means having fun, living your truth, living your passion, being authentic. And I decided to put my money where my mouth is, and I mean that literally. I've devastated my brokerage account that I built up beautifully while 20 plus years in corporate America in the energy sector. And I do want to talk about that a little bit because I just recently got back from the East Coast. I spent 6+ weeks out there doing some live theater. That is passion for me. Helping my brilliant playwright friend, Kelly Burr. And we did some live theater in the New York area, New York City specifically. And it's just, that is my passion. Being on the boards it's referred to as far as live stage. We've done audio theater, video, and so on and so forth. One of her projects, If We Really Were Witches, name drop that because she's working on some new episodes, some new shorts for that, since we are almost in witch season as we speak. That as I traveled, I'm currently, I took retirement early in order to fund my own reinvented self. And I am still very much a work in progress. I think most of us are when it comes right down to it. But again, I'm taking it almost literally. And so now at 63, full reinventing myself, looking forward to rolling out the Deb Rosman brand, which, as we were talking about before we started recording, is cafeteria style. Take what you want and leave the rest. And I am looking forward to going into corporate America and helping foster cultures of compassion. This is sorely lacking in so many business, corporate situations. I don't care if it's 50 people or 500 people. And this also is an absolute passion of mine. I believe that there are more kind and good and nice people in the world than not. The not can be very noisy sometimes. And, sometimes get a little bit of a foothold in there. But I am hopeful. And, I'm very much a glass half full kind of girl. And one of the things that I ended up doing when I was traveling and reconnecting with people that I have not physically seen in 20 plus years. And we all just pick up where we left off, and everyone was so kind and generous and supportive, cheering me on and opening their homes, their hearts, their wallets in some cases. And my question that I was asking them is, what was it about where we used to work? Sempra Energy Trading Corp doesn't exist as an entity anymore.
Okay.
The energy, as far as the energy industry, oil, gas, wind. I say wind because it was clean, and we were, leading the edge there in part with clean energy. But this was a Fortune 500 subsidiary. This was on the East Coast. This is a cutthroat industry, and where we worked, you always were aware of that. But what they did that I've not seen really before or even since is they truly managed to balance all of that. And they were successful, over 5 million profit 5 years running. And that was when 5 million was a big deal in the early 90s. No, in the early 2000s. And I mean, I would still get thrilled with 5 million. I don't know about you, Dawn.
Yeah.
But and I asked them, what was the secret sauce? And it always came back to good people, kind people. Well, now we've got this, I'm not really sure what to call it. How can I meld my belief that there are more good people out there than not, and what Sempra managed to cultivate that 20 plus years later? Let me tell you a real quick story. And that is, I'm driving out, literally, I had opened a GoFundMe page because with my early retirement and in the process of building my new business, part of the reinventing, the fact that there's a Deb Rosman brand and that I needed a little help, just, gas, tolls, food, things like that. And this is again where I'm driving out, and I was like, promising everyone to come along with me. I posted every single day for 6+ weeks, and I called it my big adventure, an homage to Pee Wee Herman. And I was just settling down for the evening. I was at a campsite in the Poconos. I posted, guess who's car camping in the Poconos? And within seconds, in my direct message was one of my former colleagues. Where are you exactly? Got a vacation home here. Come, stay. Within seconds. I have not talked to this individual. Even, maybe a thumbs up on a Facebook post 5 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we, hung out together, but without batting an eye, this person reached out to me and availed their home.
So what do you think has been the thing over the years that maybe you've done to build that long-lasting compassion and kindness to other people, that they're opening their homes to you when you randomly say, I'm in this area?
Excellent question, Dawn. And by the way, thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. I normally like to kick off with that because it comes down to appreciation and appreciating each other. And I prioritize humanity. I consider myself a good person, but again, I think most are good people. Certainly my experience at Sempra Energy Trading Corp, surrounded by good people. And that was kind of the secret sauce that we, when I had these conversations asking different, former colleagues, because I had the opportunity to really reconnect with several while I was on the Eastern Seaboard. And it all came down to, well, they made a point of hiring really good people. And it's like, and yeah, I was puzzling over that as well. And one of my former colleague said, well, you're a nice person. That's why you have these experiences. And I guess that kind of comes back to law of attraction, which we touched on, I think, at post your event that you were kind enough to invite me to at Dames in Madison. And that was law of attraction. You get what you put out. If you're putting out frustration, you're going to have constant evidence of frustration. If you're putting out fear, you're going to get constant evidence why you're justified in being fearful. If you're putting out love and warm fuzzies and kindness and humanity, you get a flood of that back. So I think that answered your question.
Yeah, I think it did. And I think that's the part of life sometimes that we focus too much on the negative, or for some reason that one bad experience will, kind of almost brainwash us for a while instead of the good parts. And that's where I'm trying to always understand, why can't we take in all the good things and remember that more, and to focus on that more loving approach and compassion. And we all have bad days. Trust me, we all have a moment, and we all have a moment that we kind of maybe regret that we've done. But why is that always remembered by yourself or by others instead of all the good moments?
I'm going to turn that toward you and see if you can't postulate an answer to that deep question. Why do you think that is?
I know this is where I sometimes ponder it. And I don't know if it's sometimes too, when there's almost bad feelings, you can feel it in your body sometimes. Or two, you can feel it when you get love, when you get that excitement, happiness. Fear and excitement are similar feelings. Or, you get that weird, flutter in the heart. And I just don't know why bad feelings just stick in with us. It's almost like it goes into your core, and it's like, don't forget about this bad experience. And then it's sometimes too, it's like little kids where they don't know those experiences yet. So they're more risk taking and they're going to try new things. But then once you kind of have some of those bad experiences, you're cautious. You're not as curious and playful as little kids.
I like where you're going with this, and I would challenge that fear and joy are complete opposite ends of the spectrum. They're both very intense, but fear is one of the lowest levels on the emotional scale. Joy and love are the highest. So there, and there is something, and this is what I am intending on doing in workshops, is working with the emotional scale.
Okay.
I didn't create it. I wish I could lay claim to that, but it exists, and there are various levels. Let me give you an example. You mentioned you're a little kid, you're bold, you're out there living your life, and you trip, you fall, you skin your knee, it hurts, and you're in physical pain. That's low level on the scale. And now you're fearful of falling and hurting yourself again. I'm even gonna shift my example. Grief, since my fabulous book, The Grieving Heart, about loss, hope, and living, and the emphasis is on living. The emphasis is to embrace the uncomfortable for the sake of actually moving through it. We can come back to that later. And one of the things at Ripple Impact, we were talking about a group that I had hired. They do PR and marketing. They came up with Take Your Grief to Work Day, which I thought was kind of cute.
Oh, tell me more.
So keep tabs on my Facebook, Deb Rosman, Instagram, all of that, as far as fun things going on with Take Your Grief to Work Day. If there are 5 people in the office, probably one of them is going through some sort of something, because you grieve over things other than just death of a loved one. Back to the emotional scale, you're grieving. We've even heard with regard to grief, there's denial, there's anger, and eventually get to acceptance, and so on and so forth. Well, that's emotional scale, very specific to that subset of grief. So despair, fear and despair are the lowest frequency levels.
Mm.
Love and joy and love are the highest frequency levels. That's why when you do things like your appreciation or gratitude journals, or whatever your gratitude practice is on a daily basis, that's when we move up the scale. And that's
Mm.
actually a technique, a modality that everyone has the opportunity to use. You don't have to spend a lot of time. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon at lunch or at bedtime, whatever. Jot down some things. Doesn't even have to be full sentences. A lot of times I'll just do words.
Yeah. Bullet points. I
And,
like bullet points.
and that raises us, up. Part of my theory as to why our tendency has been to live more in the fear, the caution, the lower frequency levels is we're just taught that.
Mm.
But we're taught a lot of stuff. And at some point you have to ask yourself, are these beliefs that I've been taught? There's
True.
been plenty of evidence to show that mom was right, that I should be cautious and afraid. Does that serve me?
Mm.
Is that serving me? If it's not, we can choose to change that. I
Mm.
like to think I'm living proof. Now, I've
Mm.
always been a happy person. I had one of the most joyous occasions. Yesterday, hooked up with my old friend Becky from high school, and we literally, decades dissolved. We just picked up where we left off. And you hear this over and over again. But what a joy. What a joy to just have that moment. And that, again, that's love. That's a high frequency.
Mm.
And we're complimenting ourselves a little bit on the fact that we're holding up quite well,
Love it.
because well, and not even joking, neither of us are taking any meds.
There you go.
We're each 63 years old, and neither of us need any prescription medications. Now, you could say good genes and stuff like that, sure, but a lot of it has to do with, diet, exercise, mindset.
Yeah.
Again, we're here for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And then I think our essence leaves our physical container and goes back, and we'll be around again. Because another part of my philosophy, both with the book as well as workshops and things like that, is that if you can embrace physics, because Dawn, I know that when you met me, you were thinking, this girl is into science. So, little aside, probably not so much. But anyway, that said, I do love physics, specifically energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. And we see it all around us when we're fortunate enough, like we are, to be in Wisconsin, and we witness, the life, the dying, the death, the rebirth, in our four distinct seasons. We're very, very fortunate that way. But energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. What you consider to be your spirit, your soul, your essence, that's energy. I think there's actually scientific factoids that could, substantiate that. But it's energy. And so when we shrug the mortal coil, we release that. And in my humble opinion, we go home. We go back to our greater self. And we'll be around again.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we went real deep with
We did go deep. And this is where, for
we
me,
did a
even
deep
Deb,
dive.
thinking out loud of, through your corporate journey,
Mhm.
did you have these feelings or time to even think about these kind of things? And what was it? I mean, were you always kind of thinking about these things? And what was the trigger point for you to finally be like, I'm leaving corporate to focus more on this because I just know it's a need out there?
What an excellent question. Dawn, you're good at this.
Oh, you're funny.
Um, yes, I've always had deep thoughts, and through the 20 plus years of corporate America, because at my pinnacle, I was a chief financial officer for an international energy company,
Okay.
which is about as far away from from my essence as artist type creative as you can get. What has always kept me grounded were the people. Now, I've been singing the praises of Semper Energy Trading Corp and all the amazing people that I call family. But in every office, there have always been the most incredible people. Now, some might say it's because I'm that friendly little puppy, I'll like run up and start a conversation and things like that. Regardless, again, there are more good people than bad. And so I have had the deep thoughts. I'm the youngest child. I mean, even then I made it until age like 15 before I encountered like a great grandparent that, someone who I actually knew and, sat on their lap and that sort of thing. And here at 15, they had passed. They were in their 90s, blessed. And it was my first experience. And it was poetry. It was Kahil Gibran, A Tear and a Smile, that soothed me.
Mm.
And that clearly had such an effect, hence the book of poetry.
Book.
I would like to read one piece from it before we
Okay.
wrap up, because it also encapsulates, even before I was identifying with the law of physics. It's encapsulated in that piece, but I wrote the piece long before I finally went, oh, hey, these things match.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I realized that I had taken my professional, as far as that industry, I had taken it as far as I could take it. And although the money was amazing, and I dare say I would not have left it, I'd have probably been like so many people who feel trapped. I was fortunate. I got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
I got laid off from that. I would have cut me. There were three of us through mergers and acquisitions that did the same job. I brought nothing unique to that table. And it freed me. And then I ended up dusting off the admin skills and going to another lovely firm here in Wisconsin. And that's where I started to feel truly suffocated and stifled. And through no fault of theirs, I just realized how far removed from my forward moving journey I was going backwards, not forwards. Even the dusting off of admin skills,
Okay.
I was going stepping backwards, not forward, and it didn't feel good. Here's the thing. We all have that compass inside of us. You know if you're doing the right thing for you or not by how you feel. Do you feel good doing this? It's not to say that we don't all have chores. I'm working on my taxes now. Yes, the extended 2023 taxes. I'll be doing some things that don't thrill me.
Yeah.
Paperwork, whatnot, but it's not about that. I mean, when you're making those life choices, right?
Yeah.
Are you doing what feels good to you? So I don't know if I answered your question, because I have a
No,
tendency.
I love that. And I think that's the part too, is that hopefully the listeners got a lot of, you know, advice in that, because I think that's the part too, is sometimes we take the new job, we have the opportunity to kind of get laid off, or we have the opportunity to try something new. And sometimes if we aren't listening to our internal compass and recognizing that something is off, we keep going through these patterns, and deep down we're never going to be happy, or never going to find joy. And so hopefully those listeners are listening to that, because if they are feeling off, there's a reason you're feeling off, and hopefully you can take a moment to just think deep about it. So I appreciate you, Deb, sharing your story, your journey. And if there is a little section you want to read it quick, and we will end on a sweet note. So
Absolutely. And also with just that next step, as far as, sometimes when we don't feel good, it is because maybe we are feeling stuck in a job.
mm,
Uh, some things are easier to remedy than others, correct? But it doesn't mean that we have to stay stuck in the bad feeling place. And that's where the gratitude / appreciation practices, the meditations, the yogas, the hug your kid, get down on the floor and play,
yeah, the simple things.
regardless of what else is on your agenda that day, and just be present. Eckhart Tolle is one of my favorite, modern day kind of spiritual guru kind of things, because he wrote The Power of Now, and
Mm,
timeless. Recommend that one.
okay.
So yes, let us finish with, I'll even, just because I wrote it doesn't mean I have it memorized. And here we go. It's the my friend Izdihar, she publishes it in her various publications. She's got a book, Female Entrepreneurs. I mean, a magazine, a periodical. It comes out monthly. I've collaborated on a couple different books. It is done. Women Who Trust. Again, Izdihar Jamil. I'm part of her extended family as far as writing, etc. She pegged this one my signature piece, because after she lost her grandmother, I sent her the book, and this is what helped soothe her. And it encapsulates what? Physics. The piece, I am not gone. Even though my body gave out and I'm no longer around, I am not gone. For you, my child, who's still so young, I pray you'll never feel that I abandoned you or that you are all alone. I am not gone. It's not just your memories of me that will keep me alive, although thinking about how much I love you and how proud I am of you is good. There are other forces, factors, helpers that will be there for you when you need me. I am not gone. They will constantly come and go from your life, for there can never be another me. But be there for you, they will be. Coworkers, friends, relatives, and many more, providing you with comfort, advice, and care. So while it is true I've left this realm, I'm still watching over you. And with my helpers, my agents, if you will, I'm still there to guide you and advise you. I am not gone. When you miss me, just stand silently and listen to my voice beating inside you. My voice sings in the wind and will resound in others too, my helpers, for I am not gone.
I love that. Love that. Love that. And it's a perfect way to end of how important it is to have love and joy and have those deep connections with other people, because you never know how they can help you or support you in different ways. So thank you, Deb. I appreciate you and so thankful we got to meet. And I hope the listeners had some great takeaways today.
Dawn, thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to us, crossing paths again.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Deb.
Thank you so much.